Hello everyone and welcome to Bourbon Bites Whiskey Reviews with a gaming twist. I'm your host Clifton and welcome to another Thursday night live stream. So if you saw tonight's thumbnail, we're going to have a bit of fun with this one. I've always said that I love a good briny note or salty note in my whiskey. And I thought, why not try to find what is my saltiest whiskey of them all? So tonight I have 3 different scotches where I'm going to explore to find which one of them have my favorite briny, salty kind of note. We have a couple of flavored whiskeys. I've got all the air quotes tonight. A couple of flavored whiskeys we're going to try tonight that have salt in the name. But not only that, you saw the thumbnail, I'm also going to be eating what is considered the world's saltiest candy. These are Swedish bastards. They are salty licorice filled with licorice cream, but take a look. That you see right there, that is not just regular salt. So these actually are made with ammonium chloride, which, yes, the gas form of it is ammonia. And this is what makes this salty. I am a bit terrified. I'm not going to say I haven't had one of these before, but I did just try them when I first got them because I was very curious about them. But it's been quite a while since I've had these. So I am very excited to pair them with whiskey and see how they are. I'm going to wait a minute though, because I feel like that's going to blow, like, like your tongue, right? You have like sensory like zones. You have the sweet, the salty. I don't remember all the different zones, but I don't want to blow the salty part of my palate yet. I want to save it for towards the end of the stream where I'll try one of these and then go back to the whiskeys. But first, we're going to find which whiskey has the saltiest, briniest note out of the ones I have, plus a new one that I just picked up. So if you saw the thumbnail, you saw we have 3 scotches, one of which is the Talisker Storm. This is a single malt Scotch whiskey from... What is it? Isle of Skye. Okay, I knew there was something special about it. So an Isle of Skye single malt Scotch whiskey. We have Rock Island from Douglas Lang, which used to be called Rock Oyster. It was actually styled to have a maritime note to it. That's why it was blended for specifically. And lastly, this one's a new pickup, but this one, whenever I searched for a recommendations for like a briny kind of whiskey, this one was everyone's top recommendation. This is Old Pulteney 12 year. This is the new bottling of it. It says the Maritime Malt, product of Scotland, 12-year-old, 40% ABV. So I'm excited to get into that. I have had Old Pulteney before, but it was the I think they had a 43% ABV version before. This is the now standard 12. So I'm excited to get into that. We're gonna work our way through these. Then we're gonna get into some flavored whiskey because why the heck not? And then we're gonna get into the candy. So hopefully you guys are here for a good time. This isn't our normal. I mean, we get into some shenanigans every now and then. This is a bit different though. I did have another stream planned for tonight, but they actually pushed it a little bit, so we're gonna revisit that stream a bit later. So I had to kind of scramble to put together an idea of a stream to do tonight, and this was what I came up with. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. For a last minute little fun shindig, shall I say? I'll say hello to a few folks here in the chat, of course. Whiskey Sensory Shenanigans is here. What's up, Michael? Zopher's here with the salt emoji. Love it. Yeah, I'm back on Streamlabs, so I can't feature your comments, but just know I see them. I see them right over there. Zopher says I'll have to pull out my Old Pulteney bottle tonight, but a long time. Same here. I haven't had this in years. Like I said, the last one I had was the old one that was a bit different of an ABV. This one's the standard 80 proof version. So I'm excited to revisit that. This is my first time having this in years. Zopher also asked, did you get rain today? It did not rain today. It was cloudy. It wasn't very pretty, but it did not rain. Donnie's here. He says, I'm awake for now. I was talking to Fred. I'm out with the licorice. Okay, well, Donnie, maybe tune out for the last few minutes of the stream. You may want to skip that part. Doug is here. Taste and Sensibility. How's it going, Doug? Patrick's here. Are you doing how you are doing? M's here as well. Great to see some of you guys. So yeah, this should be a fun one. I'm looking forward to it. I will say, the flavored whiskeys that I got, if you saw the thumbnail, we have an Old Smoky from Tennessee, an Ole Smoky Tennessee Salty Caramel whiskey, coming in at 30% ABV or 60 proof. Not only that one, that one sounds like, a normal whiskey, salted caramel whiskey, similar notes, right? Kind of makes sense. But then I was on the shelf, and then I saw this bottle, which kind of threw me off. So this is also a Old Smoky Tennessee whiskey, salty watermelon whiskey. Yeah, I don't know what to think of that. I will say I have had some watermelon liqueur, or liqueur, whatever you want to call it. I have had that, like in a cocktail, but not with whiskey. Always with like rum or vodka. So I don't know if whiskey and salty watermelon are going to go together, but we're going to find out tonight. But first, we're gonna be a little bit serious, right? Like we're not all jokes here on the channel. We do have 3 scotches that I think I always get a briny, salty kind of note on, and we're gonna taste through those first, then get to the flavored whiskey, and then end with the extremely salty Swedish Bastards candy. So, what's up, Donner Pest? Good to see you in the chat. Oh, Donnie said, did we lose him? I'm here. Can you guys not see me? It looks good on my end. Zover said you need some salted peanuts in a Coke. Oh, I've never done that. I know that's like a southern thing, but like I've never had the desire to do that. That just doesn't sound good to me at all. Salty watermelon lemonade. Okay, yeah, see, I get it, but like with whiskey, I just think whiskey is a weird spirit to be making a salted watermelon flavor of. We'll find out tonight, though. I will say I'm a bit terrified, but we'll see. I do love watermelon, though. Wait, Zoph? Oh, the whiskey and peanuts. I mean, listen, I like me some salted peanuts. I like me some whiskey. Or not whiskey and peanuts. The Coke and peanuts. I just don't really desire to have them together. I'm sure it tastes fine. But we'll try that on another night stream. We'll see that. What's up? The Pecker House is here. Cheers to you. Perry from This Is My Bourbon podcast. He said the Linux cat is still around. Yes, Donnie is like, he's no longer our night owl. I will say that. All right, so I just poured the Old Pulteney. Like I said, this is the 12-year-old release, matured over fine American oak. And it says a hint of sea air. So when I was planning the stream, I was trying to think through like what whiskeys do have that brine note that I really like, and everything just pointed to Scotch. Now these are all different regions. Old Pulteney is actually a Highland Scotch. Talisker is from the Isle of Skye. This Rock Island is a blended malt, so it's from all over the place, including Orkney, Arran, Jura, and Islay. So it's not just like a certain region of Scotland that has this salty note. It's kind of all over. But I was trying to think like what bourbon or rye could I include in this, right? Like I didn't want it to be entirely Scotch, but honestly, I don't think I can think of a whiskey or a bourbon, like an American whiskey, that kind of gives me that same kind of like super savory umami kind of flavor. I'm sure I've come across it every once in a while, but I couldn't think of anything. I mean, I almost put up Jefferson's Ocean Age just because I'm like, oh, ocean, brine. But then I'm like, I don't think Jefferson's has ever had that kind of note, unless I'm mistaken. I think Jefferson's Ocean Age is more about the way that the whiskey's interacting with the wood and the different climates and the shaking on the ship. I don't think it has anything to do with like the maritime note. So I skipped that. So tonight we just have Scotch and flavored whiskey. But if you know of any other American, Canadian, Irish whiskeys that have the same kind of note, like that same maritime quality to them, salty, briny, whatever you want to call it, let me know. I'd love to do like a part 2 of this at some point and explore different types of regions that have that same note as well. But tonight we're dealing with what we have in front of us, what you saw in the thumbnail. So we'll see how we go. Whiskey Sensory Shenanigans said any good southern lad should love watermelon. Oh, trust me, I love watermelon. I love salted watermelon. I just don't know how about putting salted watermelon in your whiskey. That's where I'm kind of like, That was weird. Dr. Faust said when I was a kid, adults put salt in watermelon. You never understood it. See, I did. I like salt in my watermelon. I think it brings out the flavor and enhances it a bit more. It tones down the sweetness a bit, but it amps up more of like the melaniness of it. I don't know. I was one of those people. Now I will say my dad used to put pepper on it as well, like black pepper. I've done that occasionally, and I'm like, I don't get the advantage. I don't see what's working. I'd rather have like if I'm gonna put something spicy on my watermelon, I want it to be like chamoy, and I want some what is the other tahini and chamoy. I can see that being on watermelon and being delicious. But maybe that's because I live in Southern California now. And we put that shit on everything. I don't know, but that's just me. Oh, Donner Pass says is it Bowmore? Bowmore? I've heard it pronounced different ways. Is salty to you? Nice, nice. Perry said that my stupid baseball team wasn't able to deliver until. We're talking about for the Twitch game. Oh, Donnie's mom would put salt on apple. Interesting. Never heard of that. I guess it could be a similar thing. Yeah, I'm not like. It's odd to me, but it's not something that I feel like is off-putting. That's interesting. Salted caramel apples are like a thing, so you know. American briny winning. Yeah, I think that's a good challenge too. I just with the limited amount of time that I had to come up with the stream tonight after having to do some changes to the schedule, I couldn't think of one. So if you find one, let me know. Patrick says, see if you can get a Chambers Bay whiskey from Washington. They age their barrels on a floating dock on the Puget Sound and claim that it adds brininess. Haven't tried it though. Interesting. Okay. Oh, Donnie says he thinks his grandma did too. That's crazy. Papa puts salt in his beer. Now I have seen salt. I mean, some people put like salt and lime in their beer. They even make a salt and lime lager. Like I've seen that before. So that's not too crazy to me. Yeah, I could see that being a thing. I think one of my local breweries out here does like a salt and lime. It's basically supposed to be like a Corona or Modelo, but they do like a salt and lime flavor to it as well. It's really good. I like it. All right. Well, enough talking. Let's get drinking. We're gonna be very thirsty tonight, probably from the saltiness. Might do a chug of something after that, the candy, once we get to this part of the stream. But first, we're gonna start with the Old Pulteney. Like I said, have not had this in years, but I'm excited to revisit it. It was one of the first. I think honestly, Old Pulteney was one of the first scotches that I ever got a briny note on. So that's why I'm excited to revisit it here tonight for the first time. Let's give it a nose. Oh yeah. Yep, it's got that kind of like it's not peated at all. It doesn't smell peated at least. But it's got a really rich, dark, salted caramel is the first thing I would say on the nose. It is like a bit of a savory, but also like creamy kind of nose. I see why this one is highly recommended as a briny whiskey. I haven't had it, but yeah, 100%. The malt expresses itself in a unique way, and I think that's what I'm getting here. It's not the normal cereal grain note, which is it's there, but it's very dark and very like, oh man, just more rich and more expressive than I've ever had on a single malt. This actually might have been this shouldn't have been the starting point. Maybe this one's pretty intense, but we'll see if the other ones can hold up to this one. So let's try the Old Pulteney 12-year. Cheers, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. I know this is a bit of a crazy stream, but I just like having fun with you guys. So cheers. Okay. A bit lighter on the palate than on the nose. On the nose, I was expecting this to be like really, really briny. On the palate, typical ex-bourbon cask, I'm guessing. There's not much oak influence beyond just the way that it's interacted with the malt. It is a bit of that cereal note, a little bit of that note that I don't love about a Highland. Highland's not my favorite category of Scotch. I prefer an Islay. Honestly, most other regions except Highland. For me personally, it's just those to me are so grain forward, like that malted barley. I can taste it so much on a Highland, and especially when it's not aged with like a sherry cask. To me, it's the most prominent flavor of it. Not quite my favorite flavor profile, but I will say this does have that brininess to it. It's subtle though. On the nose, it was a punch, like it was punching me like in the face, but on the palate, definitely more approachable of a nose. And again, this is only 80 proof whiskey, but I will say there's a lot of flavor for an 80 proofer. That's one thing I love about Scotch that I don't really find in bourbon. You can have a low proof whiskey with a ton of flavor, and that's what's happening here. Mm. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I appreciate I appreciate the brininess of this. Again, it's not my favorite flavor profile. I think it's a bit too much of that Highland quality that I don't typically love. But if you are a fan of Highlands and you're looking for a briny note, yeah, Old Pulteney is where it's at. It's a great starting place, I think. I think we're going to go into some Islay scotches and a little bit more smoky. I was going to say Islay, but Talisker is actually Isle of Skye, so it's not Islay. But we do have Rock Island, which does blend in some peated malts as well. But fun place to start. I like this. I think this would be a nice starter starter scotch if you're trying to get into it and trying to kind of find your flavor profile. Old Pulteney's great. It's sweet. It's caramel. A little bit of that like salty quality to it. But yeah, to me, it drinks like other Highlands. It's probably one of my favorite Highlands. I'll say that. That's not saying much. I'm just not a Highland Scotch fan. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Everyone has their own favorite tastes. So I pulled out my Old Pulteney in 17, also my first briny epiphany. Nice. Yeah, this is only the 12 years. I'm sure it gets even better with age. Chris is here. He says, hello, Cliffy and all from down under. 1 week before we head off to Scotland and Ireland. Awesome. So excited for your trip. I saw the countdown post earlier today. Patrick said the Isle of Harris gin would be fit well tonight. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't have it, but it would definitely be a good fit. It is strange to not be getting ready to travel to the U.S. I know we miss you over here. Actually, I'm going to Vegas in beginning of October, and I was thinking of back to our Vegas trip, Chris. So we'll miss you, but hopefully you have an amazing time over there. All right, let's move on to our next whiskey that I think brings on all the saltiness. I think I'm going to go to... You know what? I'm going to go to the Rock Island next. So this is a blend by Douglas Lang. They are known for being really good blenders. I see a ton of their stuff out here in Southern California. First of all, beautiful label. I love the art on their label. Now, this one actually used to be called Rock Oyster. As you can see the oyster right there. I think that weirded a lot of people out, and they thought maybe there was like something to do with actual oysters in the whiskey. So they changed the name to Rock Island. So if you see Rock Oyster on the shelves, it's just the old label bottle of this. Now, I do have a cask strength version. I almost pulled it down. I think that's it right there. Yeah. So I have a cask strength version that has the old Rock Oyster label on it. But since we're drinking relatively lower proof today, I wanted to stick with the standard one. This is a blended Scotch whiskey, extraordinary character with maritime island qualities. Like I said, it includes malts distilled on Orkney, Arran, Jura, and Islay. So it is a blend, but it's a fantastic blend. This is actually a very relatively priced bottle as well. That's one thing I love about blended Scotch, like craft blended Scotch, either them or Compass Box. The pricing is incredible. You're getting some really cool malts blended expertly at a fantastic price. I think this was about $50. Comes in at 46.8% ABV. It is a small batch. Yeah, let's go and get that poured. Yeah. Huge fan of what Douglas Lang's doing. Would love to do a full flight of their stuff on the channel at some point. Well, it'll be safe to get on and off the wheel without Lil there. You know what's funny is I'm actually going with first time Vegas folks in October. They've never been before, so they're really excited. I'm gonna recommend the Happy Half Hour on the High Roller, which is if you don't know, the High Roller is the Ferris wheel at in downtown Las Vegas, and they do a happy half hour where you get on that Ferris wheel, open bar for a half hour as it goes around. You get to see the sights of Vegas. But man, when you get off that, that's a very, if you do it right, that's a very intoxicating trip around the Ferris wheel, because once you get off, you'll start to feel fine. You're like, oh, that was fun, and then bam, it hits you. You're like, oh my god, I just chugged like 8 shots or whatever you did on the High Roller. So I'm gonna plan for that. Luckily, we're staying at the Flamingo, so it's like right at the Link Promenade. So I'll make sure to recommend that as like a end of the night activity, or maybe even a midday activity. That way we can go sleep it off in the room and then go back out. But it's a ton of fun. I love it. But it's definitely one that hits you, and it's like Bam. Right at ya. Rock oyster was a great name to me, says Doug. Michael says I prefer rock lobster. Yeah, I just think it's I don't know. I love the name. I mean, but I also love oysters, so I feel like I'm not the person that would have been offended by the name. You know what I mean? Color-wise, this one's very light. Look at that. We don't have any age here, or age statements at least. They might have some info on their website. They just tell you what's in it, which is kind of cool. They do tell you the different islands that it's from. It says, anticipate wave-soaked rocks and a salty oceanic freshness on the nose with sweet malt. Its complex palate carries soft ash with peat, a honey sweetness plus crushed sugar, juicy barley, and a late pepper. All that is neatly replicated on the long, Moorish finish. So sounds quite delicious. Let's go and give the rock island / oyster a nose. Oh, that is such a good blend. Wow. I will say this is like my second bottle of this one. I need to buy a replacement soon. It's getting relatively low. I love this. This is so... It epitomizes everything I look for in like that briny quality of a whiskey. This is exactly what they're going for here, and it's exactly what I love. And okay, answer me this in the chat. Or if you're watching the replay, answer me this in the comments. Does the thought of briny or salty whiskey gross you out? Because I could see it being an off-putting thing. But like, if you know what I'm talking about, you get that like that note isn't that unfamiliar at all. It's just a richness to it. Like some whiskeys are sweeter, some of them are drier. I think some of them are a little more salty. Not quite as salty as our Swedish bastards, but pretty dang salty. Love the nose on that. Yeah, I'm gonna go for a taste. Cheers. Yeah. That even the non-cask strength version. I've been drinking more of the cask strength version, which is the one I have back there. Even at non-cask strength, it has so much flavor. It's a bit brighter than the cask strength one. I think it's a more delicate balance. You're getting a lot of those. I was gonna say peat notes, but it's not like an intense peat. It's not a peat that's gonna throw you off and make you feel like you're going full on peat. It's more of a subtle smokiness, a little bit of ashiness, but definitely that maritime. I always used to describe it before I really understood it. I always described it as like ocean air, like you're standing at the ocean, you're breathing in, you're kind of getting that salty kind of, not like fishy. That sounds kind of gross, right? But like that kind of salty air when you're standing, at the ocean, maybe at night. I grew up near the coast of South Carolina, so we would always go to the marinas and the marsh walks and things like that. And there would always be this like briny smell in the air. And I associate that smell with my childhood because that was our vacation. We would always go, to these inlets. I guess we used to call it Murrells Inlet was the place, but also it's close to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. But it's a little more south, a little less touristy. That note reminds me of my childhood. So when I get on a whiskey, it just brings me right back. It brings me right back to I say back to the coast as if I don't live on the West Coast right now. But it smells more like what I remember the East Coast smelling like than the West Coast. West Coast is great. I love it. But like, I don't think I get that sea salt air as much out here. At least not in the areas that I'm at in Los Angeles. All right, Zopher says absolutely not. It doesn't gross him out. Neither does it to Patrick. He says not at all. A warning would be appreciated though. A good brandy scotch pairs well with a steak. Nice. That sounds like it would. I haven't tried that. Zopher says briny and savory are what makes me reach more for scotch than bourbon. Nice. Interesting. Okay. I get that. I still am more of a bourbon guy, but totally makes sense there. M says that the oils in Scotch and Irish are really nice at low proof. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They really like stand out at a lower proof, more so than bourbon does. Zover says, growing up in San Diego, we'd camp on the beach in Mexico or in San Diego. Briny ocean air is wonderful. Brine is great flavor. My favorite coastal scotches aren't just salty, but are a bit fishy, crabby, and shrimpy. Well, maybe you want the old rock oyster. I'm just kidding. I've not considered them that, but now I'm curious. What a fishy... Wasn't there like a whiskey that used crabs in it? Okay, am I crazy? I feel like I remember hearing about this whiskey. I think Bill the Whiskey Dick did a review on it. It's like a crab infused or crab. They take the flavor of a crab and put it into a whiskey. I swear that was a thing. I'm not going crazy, right? Never had it, but I remember hearing about that. I don't remember what that was called. That was a whole different thing. That was I think he interviewed the people that made it too. Chris said he's been expanding his Scotch palette lately to get ready for the trip. Nice. Good to hear that. Would love to hear like what some of your favorites are. Looking forward to sending home heaps of Scotch and Irish. Yes, I can imagine. There was green crab. Okay, so it was green crab. So I'm not crazy. Thank you, Michael. I don't know what on earth that would have tasted like, but hopefully. I mean, I was gonna say hopefully better than this, but that's not what I meant to say. I mean, honestly, if it tasted better than this, I would absolutely buy it. But Crab Trapper Whiskey. Thank you, Donnie. Crab Trapper Whiskey, says Deathless Dog. Also, hello. I was very close to buying it when I was doing streams. Yeah, crab whiskey was the thing. Listen, I'm a seafood connoisseur. I love seafood. I just don't think I was ready to pay the price. When that came out, I was still pretty early on and doing my YouTube thing. I think that was a bit pricey for me for a bottle of crab whiskey. I don't know. I would do it now. Like I said on my podcast, by the way, if you guys didn't know, I do a podcast. I release it every Thursday morning, so it comes out right before this stream. If you guys listen to today's episode, we did High West Boo Rye. My first time trying a Boo Rye was on the podcast this morning. Make sure to check it out, bourbonbites.com. You can see the link to it there. Wherever you get your podcast, make sure to check it out. But I was going to say something. Now I forget. It was related to this conversation. I forgot it. Anyways, it was about a whiskey that I reviewed on there. Oh, no, so I know what it was. I was going to say, on this week's episode, I talked about how now that we're getting into LE season with bourbons and whiskeys, I'm more active than normal looking for them. I think that was a commitment I made for the channel this year. It's like, normally let me put my words together. This is why when I do a podcast, I edit it. I don't do it live. Whenever I'm looking at LEs and stuff in this season of bourbon and whiskey, I'm thinking of like what I want for my palate. But this year I've committed to be more open to what you guys might want to hear about. So if there's a bottle that's something I wouldn't normally gravitate towards, but I have a chance to buy it, I'm probably going to buy it and I'm probably going to open it for you guys. So that's kind of my methodology this year. I'm like, I owe it to you guys to try some of these rare releases. Even with the High West Boo Rye, I almost didn't buy that, but I'm like, you guys are curious about it. I was curious about it, and it surprised me. It bewildered me, is I think what I said on the podcast. The flavors were nothing like I expected. So check it out, bourbonbites.com, or just search Bourbon Bites Podcast wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to follow me on your favorite podcast platform. Relatively small podcast. I'd love to have more listeners over there. We get about 20-ish per episode, which is great. I appreciate all of you that listen, but I would love to have more of you guys. I know quite a few more of you watch the streams and may not know about the podcast. It's short. It's only like 20 minutes or so per episode. I know Zopher here is a fan of it. He sent me a photo earlier this morning where he was listening in and enjoying a nice pumpkin spice latte. So we're definitely in the fall LE season. All right. One more sip of the Rock Island, then we're going to move on to my last briny recommendation for Scotch. Sorry, I was like, had a hair or something. I was like, that was weird. I was like, I started thinking about that crab whiskey. I'm like, ew, what was that? But it was a hair. Chris says he's downloading them for the flights. Awesome. Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. Yeah, I keep them short. I keep them like 20 to 25 minutes is my goal. Breaking down all the whiskey news of the week. Those are kind of like, if you're looking for whiskey news, that's where you should go. I always do a bite-sized review in the episode, but I don't really talk news on the channel. I feel like I would rather be more conversational here with the channel, give you guys tasting notes, thoughts, and things like that. But the podcast is all about the latest and breaking whiskey news. I throw in some video game news every now and then we do a bite-sized review at the end of it. So thank you, Em, for dropping a link. Yeah, you can find it on the Podbean website, but you don't have to go there. You can go anywhere you get your podcasts: iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you podcast or pod. What was the other one? Pocket Cast. That's what I used to use when I had an Android. Now I just use the Apple Podcast app. But yeah, thank you. That's the end my plug for my podcast. But just want to point that out. It is another platform if you are curious to hear more of my thoughts on whiskeys that I haven't reviewed on the channel. All right, going into our last Scotch. Perry said it's so funny how we're swapped on our formats. Oh, because you do the news on your live stream and then you do yeah, totally. I mean, like, yeah, I think, the podcast to me was more of like a in the now type thing, whereas I think of these live streams as more of like you could watch this 2 years from now and still enjoy it. That's how I think of it the other way, and I think you probably think of your podcast the same way. So it is interesting. So you can listen to both This Is My Bourbon Podcast and the Bourbon Bites Podcast. You're not going to get the same info. Follow both of us. Yeah. I mean, Perry inspired me to start this channel probably years and years ago, and probably was part of the inspiration behind the podcast. I don't even know why. I started the podcast back in 2021, actually. I think I was just looking for things to do. It was still like mid-pandemic. So I was like, I need another platform. That's why I started the podcast. But I definitely started the live streams because Perry and his amazing community, which are here with us still tonight. So cheers to you, Perry. You have a catch up with Bruce Russell on Monday. Nice. Very cool. All right, we just moved on to our last scotch. This is Talisker Storm. Now, I couldn't decide which Talisker I wanted to bring out for this discussion. I think all of Talisker has a brine ocean note. But the Talisker Storm was one that I kind of came to mind. It's one of my favorites from the releases. I grabbed this in South Carolina when I was over there. 45.8% ABV. I thought it was about the same as Rock Island. Rock Island is 46.8. This is 45.8. Chris said, yeah, it all started in a drunken Perry after party. Yeah, Perry, I don't know if you remember, but it was back when you had like a last minute cancellation to your stream one night, and I was like, well, I've been thinking about trying out the live stream format. So if you guys want to watch something, come over and watch me. And that's where it started. I mean, I had already been doing reviews before then, obviously, but the live stream aspect was inspired by you, Perry. So my community is nothing these days. I'm just happy to be here. Oh, don't say that. I'm there. I try to listen. You go on at 4 p.m. my time. I am still at work. Okay, I can't join all the time, but no. The whiskey community. I think we love all our creators, and yeah. So rivers now. Cheers to that. All right, let's go to nose the Talisker Storm. Ooh, this is a much richer whiskey than anything else we have. Everything else has been a little light, a little more approachable. But this one is dark. Malty, but not in a cereal way. More of a bit of a, almost it has like a chocolate, like a salted caramel chocolate note, or a salted chocolate. Is that a thing? I think like sea salt chocolate's a thing. Okay, that's the vibe I'm getting on the nose on this, like a sea salt chocolate, less of the caramel and more of the chocolate. There we go. All right, let's go for a taste of the Talisker Storm. Cheers, y'all, and cheers to this whiskey community. Oh yeah, Talisker. I mean, listen, Talisker kind of took the place of Old Pulteney for me. So Old Pulteney was my intro into like a maritime note on a scotch. And while I did really appreciate it, there was that Highland note that I didn't really love. It was more of a, again, this was more of a cereal note, not quite my jam, but Talisker, it takes that same briny quality to it and darkens it, makes it a bit richer, deeper, definitely not grain forward. There's a bit of peat on this, subtle though. Again, it's that ashy kind of note. It's not like a Lafroig or a Lagavulin or a Ardbeg or anything like that. It's definitely more of a ashy, salty. I hesitate to say salty caramel because it's not sweet, but salted chocolate, salted dark chocolate, sea salt dark chocolate. Maybe that's more of what I think, because there's a bit of a bitterness to it too. I like it. Honestly, though, this might be a controversial opinion, but I think I prefer the Rock Island / Rock Oyster better. I think the blend, what they do, they round out some of the notes that I love in this Talisker Storm, but round them out with some different, more interesting whiskeys. And for the price, I would rather buy another bottle of the Douglas Lang Rock Island. As much as I love the Talisker and Talisker Storm, I think of these three, the Rock Island is the saltiest, briniest whiskey I have, and I loved everything about it. These pieces, though, they feel like components that would make up a good blend. Chris said he's got to drop off. I have to do a few job applications before heading off so I can have a new job when you come back to. Oh, hell yeah. Well, cheers to you, Chris. He said, don't forget to hit the like button. Yes, if you guys are enjoying the stream, hit the thumbs up button. It's right there. It's completely free. I know you can do it on your phone and your TV. Just do it. Bill Scott says, thumbnail is crazy. I thought you were testing some party drugs. Oh, yes. I always like to go a little bit crazy when I'm doing these ridiculous streams. I will say, when I was searching for piles of salt photos, and every single one I kept thinking, that looks like, I'm not going to say the word on the stream, but it's like a cola, but yeah. I was like, that definitely looks like that. So I'm like, I'm going to make sure it's like on my tongue and not like trying to go up my nose, because that's a whole different type of experience. But yeah, when I saw this photo, I was like, damn, that looks a little bit like, you know, but yeah. Okay, so we've worked our way through these scotches. We have 2 flavored whiskeys to get to, and then we're gonna get to our saltiest candy / saltiest licorice in the world. Dare to experience the world's saltiest licorice. I don't know how to pronounce this. Svenskjavar is the original unapologetically salty licorice that stands unrivaled in the world. Embrace the salt. Embrace the boldness. Embrace Svenskjavar. I don't know. Listen, my white Southern boy self cannot pronounce that. So if anyone wants to tell me, tell me how to pronounce that. But we got 2 whiskeys to get to. Both of these are. Oh, my ice melted. Oh, okay. There's a little bit of an ice. I did want to have a little ice. Let me just make this a little easier. So I think these were meant to have over ice. So if you saw the thumbnail, the first of which is Ole Smoky Tennessee Mountain Made Salty Caramel Whiskey. Yes, the brand known for their moonshine, all of the flavors, Gatlinburg. Actually, you know what's funny is I was actually talking to a friend of mine at work about this whiskey today. Maybe it was partially the inspiration for picking it up for tonight's stream. But yeah, he's actually related to the people that started the Ole Smoky Distillery, which is pretty crazy. So we were talking about moonshine today at work. And I was like, you know what? This is something I've never tried on the channel, and it has the word salty in the name. So we're going to use it tonight on the stream. So I do have a little bit of ice there. It just mostly melted because I've been yapping too much on this stream. But yeah, salted. Now, I will say, this is a flavored whiskey. It comes in at 60 proof, so 30% ABV. Whiskey with natural flavors and caramel color added. It doesn't tell you exactly what's in it. I think it gives it that salty note. I'm just hoping. I like salted caramel. I mean, like, listen, if I go to an ice cream shop and they have like a vanilla with like a salted caramel like twist in it, like a twirl, that's my jam. Salted caramel ice cream, like as long as it's mixed with like vanilla or something, my absolute favorite. Doug says, great question. He says, how can they say whiskey at 30% ABV? So they do say salty caramel whiskey. So I don't know if it's because they have the flavor denominations in front of it, but I think whiskey doesn't, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, does just the, not straight whiskey, but does whiskey have to have a certain ABV? Someone tell me. Because there's the full bottle. We have another one coming up. Trust me, you don't want to go anywhere, because we have a salty watermelon whiskey coming down the line. And it does say salty watermelon whiskey. Whiskey with artificial flavor and caramel color. Great question. All right. Let's go ahead and taste the salty caramel Ole Smoky Tennessee whiskey. Cheers. I was going to say like I'm nosing it, but it smells probably exactly like how it's going to taste. So let's just taste it. Not bad. Honestly, they did a really good job with that flavor. I mean, it does carry with it some of the saltiness you associate with like a nice high quality caramel. It's not like a super fake sugary, I mean, yes, it's artificial. It's artificially flavored, but whatever they did with the artificial flavor really nailed that kind of craft caramel candy note with a bit of like a sea salt on it. That's delicious. Would I drink it daily? No. Would I drink it when I'm craving a whiskey? Absolutely not. But would I drink it as a dessert? Yeah, I mean that's not that far off from like. I mean, I sometimes at night when I'm like trying to have like a little nightcap, I'll do a either an amaretto on ice or a di Serono on. Or, no, this is the same thing. An amaretto or a frangelico on ice. So this is kind of in that same territory. It's got a bit of. It's not just overwhelmingly sweet, which is what I was scared it was going to be. It's sweet, but it's got a bit of a cracker, like a cookie kind of backbone to it that makes it delightful. Nice finish on it. Man, I was expecting this to be really bad. I will say this was sold out. This salted caramel. That's the reason I got the mini bottle. The full size of it was completely sold out. Now they had they had a handle of it. I'm like, I don't know if I can go down for a handle of salted caramel whiskey, but they were sold out of their 750. I see why. This is really tasty. Okay, well done, Ole Smoky. It's a good dessert pour. I'm gonna have to maybe seek out a full, maybe not, still not a handle. I'm not going that far, but I may have to seek out a full size bottle of that. Diego, welcome to the chat. They say, have you ever tried Salcon? Salcon, not familiar with that. Is that are we talking whiskey? Are we talking licorice? What are we talking about? But no, I've never heard of it. Michael says that 40% for bourbon, rye, wheat. Yeah, I think just being called a whiskey, I think it just has to be distilled from grain, if I remember correctly. And it has to oh, ha ha ha. Well done, Diego. You got me. Listen, I like trying new things, so not the newest thing I've tried. Anyways, I was thinking like that PBR whiskey, that weird one that was like aged for 5 seconds in oak. Was it to be able to be called a whiskey because it was aged in oak? Because like how they say, was that a PBR bourbon? Maybe that's what it was. Was it called a bourbon because it PBR bourbon? No, it was a whiskey. So they had to have it touch the oak to call it a whiskey. So maybe just being aged any amount of time in oak could make things a whiskey. Maybe it doesn't have to be a certain ABV, doesn't have to be a certain age, obviously. As we know, 5 seconds in oak, as they call it. All right, we got one more to do. My ice is completely melted. But we're going to try it anyways. We're going to go for the Ole Smoky Tennessee Salty Watermelon Whiskey. Something I never thought I would say out loud. But we're going to see how it does. Whiskey with artificial flavor and caramel color. Also 60 proof, 30% ABV. I opened the top of this earlier just to smell it. And my hands instantly got sticky. Like, this one is... I don't know how I feel about this. Color-wise, pretty dang dark. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to be that good. It's just dark. At least the glass is chilled. Having the ice in there chilled it down a little bit. You definitely see some of those sugars floating. You can always tell if something's like it's probably not going to show up on camera. But you can see it. Yeah, you see those like lines in the glass. That's how you know something has like sugar added. You can see it in any kind of like flavored spirits. That's just how the sugar expresses itself. It kind of comes across a bit thick and viscous. All right, let's nose the salty watermelon whiskey. I can't believe I'm doing this. It doesn't smell bad, but there is nothing, absolutely nothing that says whiskey about this whiskey. Like I said, I've had some like watermelon liqueur like used to like make like watermelon mojito. I think there was like it used to be called watermelon pucker. It was like a sour watermelon one, but I think there was also a salted watermelon one. Yeah, this does not smell like a whiskey at all. It smells more like a Jolly Rancher. It's definitely in Jolly Rancher territory. It's not natural watermelon at all, like whatsoever. Like I feel like my teeth are sticky just like smelling this. I haven't even tasted it, but I feel like my teeth are sticking together. All right, let's try it. Salty watermelon. That's a brave serving size. Indeed it is, right? I want to show you the color, okay? All right, let's go for a taste. Cheers. I don't I don't I don't know what to say about that. Listen, it's not bad. It is sticky. Like I said, I felt like the bottle was sticky. It is like sticky, it's sticky in the mouth. It's like you dissolve some Jolly Ranchers into some really crappy, unflavored whiskey, is what's happening here. Salty? That's a bit of a stretch. Let me go for another sip. Yeah, I don't get salty. I could see where they think it's going salty, but it doesn't quite go there. It's so sweet, so sticky, so artificial. And to me, this is a pass. Sure, do it as a shot, you know, but like that's not good. It tastes nothing like whiskey at all. Yeah, this is a pass. Emily says watermelon iced tea spritzer. Okay, yeah, mix it into some like sparkling water, maybe, or into some tea. But like, it just doesn't. It tastes like candy, and I don't want. I don't like when my whiskey tastes like candy. I want my whiskey to taste like whiskey. At least the salted caramel felt more refined and a little more like a, I don't know, more of like a nice dessert experience. This is like you go to a nice restaurant and you skip dessert and you get like a little Jolly Rancher as you're like, once you sign your check, you're like, here's your Jolly Rancher. That's all you get. Yeah, to me that's a miss. I love watermelon, but nothing about this tastes like whiskey whatsoever. It's just, yeah, no. I know what would make it salty though is when I combine it with some Swedish bastards. All right, if you missed the beginning of the stream, what's up, Big Vic? Good to see you, man. If you missed the start of my stream, that we're not just doing the saltiest whiskeys on earth. We're doing the saltiest candy on earth, which is verified by this brand. They say these Swedish bastards. It is a salty licorice filled with licorice cream, are the world's saltiest licorice. The flavoring is salmiak. So salmiak is what they call ammonium chloride. So salmiak salt is the chemical compound ammonium chloride. It is salty, it is savory, it is bitter. It's common mostly in Nordic countries like the Netherlands and northern Germany. But it's also known as salmiak in Scandinavia and salmiakki in Finland. So this is a more intense chemical compound than sodium. If that tells you anything, you think sodium is salty? Well, wait till you try ammonium chloride. I'm not looking forward to this. It is very distinctive of flavor. I have had it before. I wouldn't like to revisit it, but you know what? For you guys, since we're doing a salty whiskey stream, I'm going to try one of these, and I'm going to retaste a couple of these whiskeys, and we're going to see, did it make them better or worse? Okay. Oh, God. These are so big. Oh, God. So think of like every one of these grains as like a hyper salty. Oh, come on, focus. A hyper salty. It almost looks like sand. Like you literally dropped a Hershey Tootsie Roll into some sand, and this is what you got. So this is the world's saltiest candy, the world's saltiest licorice, straight from Sweden. Let's go for a taste. The brand, by the way, I tagged them on Facebook. The brand is licorice. Haut, HAUPTLAKRITS. If you want to look it up, this is for available on Amazon. Buyer beware. All right, let's go for a taste. Cheers. What do we say in Sweden? Sancha. I don't know. So we need a Swede in here. I think didn't Perry have a Swede on his channel at one point on Twitch? I don't know. All right, let's go for a taste. Cheers. Ooh. Ooh. Ouch. My palate dried up. Like every bit of moisture went straight to the back of my throat. It's like it's trying to survive this. That is intense. I mean, I feel like I'm like, now I'm salivating, trying to make up for the saliva that just got dissipated in my mouth. It is such an intense, salty experience, unlike anything I've ever had before. Now, I'm a kid that like was okay with getting a mouthful of like ocean water. Not that I like enjoyed it, but like accidentally swallowing some seawater was, you know, not the worst experience as a kid. This is like if you doubled the amount of sodium in some seawater. Oh man, that outer coating. The outer coating is so intense. I can't talk. But there's a but. I really like the licorice. So if you can see, let's see, I'll focus. There's a thin like layer of the licorice itself. Oh, come on. So that black is like the licorice itself. And then the middle part is a licorice cream. So it has the same licorice flavor. A bit of sweetness, definitely a lot of that like star anise flavor. But once you get through the salt, it's actually pretty delightful. And I don't think I said that the first time I had this. I think the first time I had this, I basically almost spit up in the trash can. But now that I know what I'm getting into, I'm taking smaller bites. I don't think you're meant to put this whole thing in your mouth. Listen, you could, but I think you'd be missing out because I think tasting it little by little, you're blending that little bit of salt with a little bit of sweetness. It's definitely an assault on your palate, for sure. But once you survive that first salty blast of flavor, you get that sweet licorice taste. This is legitimate. I mean, I knew this was going to be legit when I looked it up because it has amazing reviews from locals. And they say like this is the closest thing they can find store-bought to like how their families made it for years and years and years. So I know it's legit. It does. It tastes very handmade. Now they have other expressions. I actually bought one. They have a spicy one it's similar, but instead of the salt on the outside, it's the got like a cayenne pepper on the outside. I like it better, but I feel like for you guys for this stream, I wanted to make sure I had the saltiest version of it. Again, the Swedish bastards. So now that I've tried that, let's go back to some of these whiskeys and see how they taste after just assault. I see what you did there, Michael. Assaulting my palate. I love it. I love it. So now that I've assaulted my palate, you know, I'll go in. I'll go full assault. We're gonna finish this one, and then we're gonna go back to these whiskeys, and we're gonna see, do they still stand up? Are they still briny? Let's go for it. Woo! Woo! Well. There we go. I was actually going to send you all the Amazon link, but it's currently sold out on Amazon. I bought this back in June, so it's been a minute. You can buy it from their website directly, though. I'll put the name of it in the chat here. Let me see if I can open up the chat. I'll drop the name of it here. God, my screen. They didn't tell me my stream is that dark. Why is it so dark? I've not been looking at myself. I've been trying to like survive here. What is salt? So that's the name of it in the chat. Let me try to turn my brightness up just a little bit. I know we're almost done. We only got a couple more minutes, but I do want to go back to these whiskeys and see how they taste now. So I'm bringing up my picture a little bit. Sorry, it's been a little dark. There we go. A little bit better, right? It also, my streams happen at a very inconvenient time because like I have a window right here and it gets dark halfway through my stream. It just gets dark outside. So I can't set my lighting at the beginning of the stream and keep it consistent throughout. I have to adjust it. Oh, I don't want to rinse with water. What am I doing? I almost drank the water. let's go back to my favorite of the scotches. Let's go to the Rock Island Blend. Yep. As expected. Not salty at all. I'm glad that I didn't try one of these before the stream because it would have blend. What am I saying? My tongue is not working right now because of that. It would have completely obliterated the saltiness of these whiskeys. I mean, even like, let's go to the Talisker. Yeah, same thing. Man, that kills your palate, man. That's really disappointing. I mean, not that you guys are out there doing this. I'm not like recommending this, but I'm just saying like there's no point in drinking whiskey after doing these because you're not going to taste it. But you know what we could taste? Maybe you could taste some Ole Smoky Salted Caramel flavored whiskey. Hold on, Donnie, I'm about to end. Damn it. I'm just kidding. You can go to bed. We miss you. Let's try the salted caramel. Let's see how that tastes after this. That holds up. Not quite as intricate of a taste as before because I think I've killed all those salty taste buds, but it's still a good flavor. It's still, I mean, that salted caramel one surprised me so much. Michael said, I thought you finally went out and tan. Hey, I went to the beach this weekend. I'm like not like that pale. I'm pretty pale though. I mean, you can see a color difference here. Oh, no, you can't. Okay, well, you know what? I'll just be the pasty white guy, I guess. All right, lastly, we're going to try the salty watermelon whiskey, and then we're going to get out of here because I know you guys are ready for bed, and some of you guys are ready for the after party hangout, which, by the way, if you are not yet a Bite Club member, you can support the channel for as little as $2 a month. That is available at bourbonbites.com or patreon.com/bourbonbites. For things like $5, you get access to our movie night, which we just watched Johnny Dangerously last week, which was a retro 80s movie I actually quite enjoyed. At the $10 tier, you get access to our after party hangout, which happens right after every Thursday night live stream, including this one, over on our Discord server. Everyone can join Discord. You don't have to be a Bite Club member, but if you are, you get access to our VIP room, our hangouts, our private tastings we do some nights if you're at a high enough tier. So check all that out, bourbonbites.com. You can find out all the info there. But most of all, we'd love to have you come back for another stream. Make sure to subscribe before you leave. I know I got one more whiskey, but I'm just letting you guys know. Make sure to subscribe. Come back. I'm here every Thursday night. It's not always this ridiculous, I promise. This was just kind of a last-minute thrown-together screen, but I've had a lot of fun with it. So let's taste the salty watermelon and see how it held up. Well, if that wasn't salty before, it's definitely not salty now because that is so sweet, so artificial. I'm sorry, Ole Smoky, but this salty watermelon's a miss. I should have known, right? When I saw that all the salty caramel was sold out, the whole row of it, the full-size bottle was sold out, but every single, they had a full shelf of this salty watermelon. I was like, oh, I like watermelon. Surely it'll be fine. Yeah, no, pass on that. But you know what I'm not going to pass on? The saltiest licorice in the world. Swedish Bastards. These were a fun experience. I think everyone should try it once. If you like salty things and you're not opposed to licorice, give it a try. I mean, like, it literally looks like some suspicious substance on the bottom of the bottle there. But it's like $12 to $15. Yeah, I don't think it's for everyone. I don't think it's for like more than like 3% of the population. But if you're in that 3% that does like super salty things, you might really, really like this. So check it out. But most of all, thank y'all for watching. This has been a fun stream. I know it's a bit crazy, a bit different. I'll be back next week with the regular one. I might be doing my 10 cup stream next week. It depends if the samples arrive. Basically what happened, I was going to do a 10 cup stream tonight, and they sent me samples, but then they realized they didn't send me a full-size bottle of one they really wanted me to show off the bottle for. So they're like, wait, can you like hold off on your stream until we send you the bottle? I was like, of course. Listen, if you're going to send me anything, I want to give you guys the best show of it all. So we'll either do 10 cup next week, or if it doesn't arrive, we'll do it the week after. I'll find something else fun to do next week. But thank y'all so much for watching. Make sure to listen to today's episode of the podcast. Again, did High West Boo Rye. Follow me on your favorite podcast platform. Hit subscribe. All the fun things. But most of all, thank you so much for being here. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Happy Labor Day. Hope you have a wonderful time off. I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to drown myself in the saltiness, I guess. God, imagine. The serving size of this is 5. I just ate 1 and almost died. Imagine eating 5 of these. That's crazy. All right. Anyways, cheers. I'll talk to you guys next week. Until next time, this has been Bourbon Bites, whiskey reviews with a gaming twist. Cheers, and I'll talk to you next podcast and next week on the live stream. Bye.